Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds podcast. The Hounds podcast is proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply again for the 2025 season. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. These guys are not just a business, they're also houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field and really put them to the test. Get the latest in garment equipment, stay locked and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast, but in the field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase and equipment, keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now let's get this episode started, guys. Thank y'all so much. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds podcast. I'm going to do a quick little disclaimer before we even get started. Yes, this is going to be a solo run tonight, but I got some good stories for y'all. I was supposed to, and we did try. I was supposed to be recording with Melon Creek Outfitters, Melon Ranch Hounds. They are a guided bobcat hunts down in Texas. They have incredible videos online on YouTube and on Facebook and stuff like that. And man, it's incredible to watch their stuff work. We were working on a recording. The main guy, and I'm not going to spoil it all, is actually in Africa, on the west side of Africa, doing some deep sea fishing. He's going after, whatever it is he's going after. But anyway, his signal was not good enough, and it just didn't work. He said, we were going to try, and we sure enough tried it, but it just didn't exactly work out the way we needed it to. So that's what put me behind on getting this week's episode out, and I'm trying to get everything finalized for the first hunt of the series, which is next weekend. So I'm sure a few of y'all want to hear about the post, but we'll get into that in just a second. Before we do, let's be a little bit inspirational to get the things kicked off. I want to start again with our inspirational quote of the week, and again, we're going to continue through this month with focusing on men's mental health. So the quote I have for y'all today is, by facing our challenges and overcoming them, we grow stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. That's from John Templeton. And then our Bible verse, which I really like this one, and this one, man, it speaks. It's from Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. That's big. That right there just speaks, that one speaks to me so much. It's surround yourself with the people that are going to help improve you as a man, not only as a man, but as a Christian and picking your faith up. And then you need to be that person too. I know that's something I struggle with, and I try to work more and more each day towards that direction. And I hope that we can keep making the strides towards that direction. But all right, so let's get into a talking point real quick. I want to talk about the post I made. We've got to do better as a sport, and I'm not going to call anybody out directly. This is not going to be an attack on anybody in particular. It's not going to be a pointing fingers, anything like that. This is going to be as a whole, it's something that needs to be presented and something that needs to be talked about and spoke about more. This series, the whole idea this year was a few things. I wanted to expand it to get down in the Carolina because I thought it was going to be really neat to be able to expand and bring some variety to it, bring a little even more variety than what we already had. And I wanted to give more people the opportunity to get into the hunt. And I will take partial blame that I have not been the best about publicizing the series this year. I've honestly stretched myself in a lot of different directions, and I haven't been able to put the focus into it, so I do apologize for that. So for people that forgot about the money being due this week, I tried to make a few posts to kind of remind everybody, but it's tough, especially when you make a post and try to let everybody know a week beforehand, like, hey, need $150 next week. It makes it tough. But honestly, as hunters, we got to do better. And I get it. Everybody's busy. Everybody has lives. Make a calendar. Your phone has a calendar on it. Set a reminder. Hey, I got numbers to this hunt. It's on this date. Set me a reminder for 3 weeks ahead of this hunt. I need to make sure that everything's on the up and up. I'm ready for it. I'm prepping for it. I'm ready to go. We got to do better these hunts, and there's a million hunts going on right now. I think even in the 4 or 5 years that I've been running now, the growth of the hunts, there's a hunt anywhere, especially Virginia, Carolina, even in South Carolina. Almost every week, there's somewhere you can go. You can go to probably 5 different hunts on any given weekend, whether it be a 1-day, 3-day, multi-day, 2-day, 9-hour hunt, whatever. And is that causing an issue? Maybe. Is it something that can be corrected? No. You can't ask pens, associations, hunters to say, no, don't do that hunt this year because there's just way too many. And maybe we're in a weird area of too many hunts, not enough hunters, if that makes any sense. But what my words of encouragement, I will say, in that situation is getting numbers to 4 different hunts on a weekend and making your mind up the week of the hunt which one you want to go to is not okay. It's not. It's not okay to the hunt. It's not okay to the association. It's not okay to the pen. It's not okay because you're taking and making it about yourself. This sport relies on everybody working together at once. And that's the judges, the hunters, the associations, the pens. They all lean on each other. They all need to be working together to help each other, to help everybody better themselves. So when you get 5 numbers to 4 different hunts, you can't go to 5. You don't have 20 dogs to go different directions. A handful of people do and can make it happen, but most of the time you got 5 dogs that you're going to go to one place with. So why are you taking up numbers that the person putting the hunt on is going to have to scrounge last minute to get everything settled and make sure? And you could have the idea, the mentality of, oh, well, they always have a waiting list. They always have a waiting list. Yeah, they do have a waiting list. But those guys that called on the waiting list also called the 6 weeks ahead of time, the 3 weeks ahead of time that you did. In the week of the hunt, they've probably found somewhere else to go by then. You don't know how many times on waiting lists that I've had to go down the list because somebody turned their numbers in the week of the hunt. And I go down the waiting list and I get to the 15th person on the waiting list before I finally get those numbers taken out. So guess what? The guy that's already put all that effort into putting this hunt on, the organizing, the getting judges, the gathering the judges, the getting the prizes, the book, the money, the pen, the license, the fees, all that stuff, all that put together, and you want to take and call him a week before because you decided to go to a different hunt, it's not okay. It's not okay. get numbers to one hunt. That's the hunt you're going to dedicate to that hunt. Simple as that. It's really that simple, guys. You got to give these hunts some help in that situation and not make it harder on those guys. I'll put it to you this way, and I'll get into this. You know, we're rolling with this turning numbers in thing. If you're going to turn in numbers, I get things come up. I get maybe work has changed. Maybe you got a new job. Maybe you had a shift change. Maybe you're sick. Maybe your dog come in heat. That's fine. But you know a lot of these things you know ahead of time. So try to give a little bit of heads up before the deadline or before the week of the hunt. And I understand wanting to wait and see if maybe it would work out. I get it. But just keep in mind the hunts, guys. Just keep in mind the hunts. But for the guys that are no showing, no call, no response, no answer, and I went back and counted, there were 6 for my first hunt. There were 6 guys that had no response, no answer, no excuse, no nothing, just nothing. No checks, no money, no answer, no, hey man, I forgot about it, I'm sorry, nothing. So that's 12 numbers with no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. And no, I'm not going to call them out on here. I'm not going to call them out on Facebook. I'm not that person. So, just, you know who you are. If you're listening, keep it in mind. But I was very discouraged, and I had to dig myself mentally out of a hole when excuse me, when the Thursday before the deadline, I start sending text out, and by Saturday night, giving an extra day to get the money in and answers from people, I had over 40 numbers turned in. It was highly discouraging. And now we're working our way back up. I took some time yesterday evening and got my number back up, to where we can suffice to make the series work. But before that, when I had over 40 numbers turned in, I was ready to cancel the series. I hadn't cashed any checks yet. I hadn't turned in any money. I said, you know what, we're going to cancel this thing, and, that's just going to be it. We had a good run last year. This year we failed, and it didn't work. But I just said, you know what, the guys that did do it right and are looking forward to it deserve the hunts, deserve the effort to be put in, and it really kind of helped motivate me back the right way. So we're still on go, we're still on. It definitely makes it discouraging, and honestly makes me not want to do it next year. But we're going to make this year work 110%, and we're going to do everything I can to make it work. I'm working on a lot of other things for the series as we speak. I got some cool stuff coming down the pipe, guys, and we're going to make this work, guys. It's going to be fun. So I think that's all I really wanted to talk about with the post. Like I said, guys, we just got to do better. As hunters, we have to keep in mind the hunts. And I know things come up. I know accidents happen. I know work, family, whatever. That's fine. But when you call and turn in 2 numbers, you're not the only person doing it. Just keep that in mind. You're like, oh, my 2 numbers ain't going to hurt. But think about this situation. When 20 people turned in 2 numbers, I lost half my field. And this is not me bitching, guys. This is just me using this hunt as an example. Oh, well, actually, I do want to continue on to this a little bit more. When you do this, when you Let me restart that. So when last year, one of the biggest things I heard, one of the biggest takeaways, I made this point in my post, was, I couldn't get numbers. I called and 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 could not get numbers. Yep, probably right. There was a lot of people calling, a lot of stuff going on, and the books filled up really, 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 really fast. Okay? Now, this year I said we're going to offer up. If you judge a hunt, you get a hunt. You judge 2 hunts, you get 2 hunts. That's how it should work. There should be no issue with that. Then I'm going to divide the field by the numbers, we pretty much we got to almost all the hunts except for pools was 2 dogs. Where everybody could bring 2 dogs, that's 40 hunters coming to one hunt, 50 hunters to another 40 to another, and then 35 or 40 to another one. That's a lot of different people. It's a lot of trucks rolling up. That's awesome. That's incredible. That gives so many people opportunities to come to that. That's what everybody wanted. That's what everybody asked for. And now look where that got me. It got me 2 weeks before the hunt. I'm scrounging to give numbers out so we can make this series possible. What that does is make a bad taste. It's a bad look. Not only for me as saying it puts a bad idea in my head of, why am I going to give just random people that I've never heard of numbers when I can't trust that they're going to come? You got guys that are begging to get in the hunts, begging to get into pleasure run, begging to just be able to do something. And how am I supposed to build any kind of trust on people when this is how it gets repaid? That goes for anybody, not just me. How am I supposed to say, man, I've never heard of this guy before, but I'll give you numbers to this hunt for sure. I trust that you're coming. Now I can't trust that if I don't know who you are, I don't expect you to come. That's the energy that you're putting off, or that's the mentality that you're promoting for this sport, is these guys that are true, these guys that are honest, and the guys that are wanting to work and want to get into it and learn and build a reputation and get good dogs and all that kind of good stuff. So you got guys that are trying to get in, and this boils down to even pleasure run time. If you did me wrong in this hunt, and all right, for example, if whatever pen is putting on a hunt for the pen to help raise money for the pen, cover cost, and they give you 5 numbers. Come the week of the hunt, the night before, you send a text message, not going to make it. Okay, you just cost that pen, if it's a $50 dog, it costs the pen $250. Okay? Then, I bet if you called later in a couple weeks or maybe a month from then and said, hey, I want some pleasure running time, do you think you're going to get it? Now, how does that roll over into the next people of, hey man, you don't know me, but I could really use somewhere to run? How's that pen owner going to trust this person? That's going to trust they're going to be there. They're going to bring the amount of dogs that they said they were going to bring, and that everything is going to be done correctly. If I owned a pen and I gave Billy 5 numbers to a hunt and he didn't show up, Billy's not coming to pleasure run at my pen anymore. He's not getting numbers to any of my hunts. Especially if he no called, no showed, no nothing. Done. He's X'd. And he's X'd for me. He's out. And people are like, man, that's hardcore. Yes, it's hardcore, because this is it. It takes an ungodly amount of money to do this, guys. An ungodly amount of money to make this whole thing work. you know? So keep that in mind when you're getting numbers is what are you doing to affect the mentality of the association, the pen owner, whatever, to look at the new guys coming in. You know, just keep that in mind. So, the Hounds podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, you can put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds and around the house times, then the top level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossing getters at night. The Cajun Lights are headlamp style light that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood style lights in red, amber, and a white walking light. Then the top of the line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try, and the red and amber setting to catch the game without distracting them, and with the easy flick of a switch, go back to your main beam light to catch your hounds in action and get those numbers. Visit their website today at CajunLights.com, and at the checkout, make sure you fill out the survey after your purchase and select Hounds Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase with Cajun Lights. Now, let's get back to the episode. I hope that kind of speaks to some people that maybe you need to think a little bit before you do things. But let's get into a little bit more positive note. And obviously this past weekend was Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there and all the stepped up fathers, like I like to call them, the guys that didn't have to but did. So this episode I wanted to take this time and get back to the deer dog woods a little bit. I want to tell some deer dog hunting stories with my dad and my grandfather. I was very blessed, and I've had a lot of other men that have been like father figures to me, and I'm not leaving them out, but I don't mean to leave them out, but I really want to focus this one on my dad and my grandpa, on the stories that I'll never forget, and I'll pass down to my son whenever it's time. I want to start off with the story, the picture that I posted on Facebook for the Father's Day post yesterday. That one was really cool. I was just old enough to remember it, and it's still spotty, but I do remember a lot of it. We were, man, like I said, it's spotty. I don't remember where we were. So my brother, you can look at that picture. He was just old enough to walk. I mean, he was walking around. He was probably, 3, 4, something like that. So my dad had me and him out, and we were hunting. And Dad knew when it had both the kids out, there's not much luck going on. You kind of get somewhere, you kind of stay out the way, and if a deer comes, great. Well, we went in this spot, and we're sitting there, and me and my little brother are playing. Me and Daniel are playing. And, I'm kind of halfway paying attention. I'm starting to get old enough to understand that, hey, this is pretty fun. I need to pay attention and look. And we're sitting there, and the dogs are coming. I'm getting excited. Well, Daniel's in the background, 3, 4 years old. Jumping around, going crazy. But Dad's like, shh, 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 shh. He's like, James, watch your brother. So he runs off down to the bottom, and I hear, pow! Next thing I know, little brother starts crying. Daniel starts crying. It was loud. He scared him. He wasn't ready for it. So he starts crying. So Dad runs back up. I said, did you get it? Did you get it? You get it? He's like, yeah, I got that one. Next thing you know, between the cries, I look over, and I heard something. I looked over, and here comes another freaking buck right behind that one. I'm like, Dad. He runs back down there, pow, shoots that one. So scared Daniel again. Had to go back down there and run back up to get Daniel and calm him down. Meanwhile, he's got 2 deer dead down in the bottom. The dogs are getting to it. And it was a mess. I was so excited. And that poor Daniel was just sitting there. It scared him scared him to death. Got him finally calmed down. And, of course, Dad had to give him a sucker to calm down. But we got him calmed down. But that was something that I'll never forget. That's for sure. Another one with us three. And I think I've told this one on here before. So we were running. My brother, my grandpa gifted my brother a side by side, double barrel shotgun. And that's what he hunted with before he had passed away, and before my brother passed away. And he was down. We were on this one stretch of road, and here come 3 deer. The dog's been running. It looped. They go out of shooting range, and my dad passed him first. A little bit out of shooting range for me, and they're going right to Daniel. I see them boogie down through the woods. I'm like, oh, here we go. He gonna get it. And I hear, pow, pow. He said, I got it. So we run down there. It was 3 deer, and I saw only one on the ground. So he missed the first shot, got the second one on the second shot. Deer sitting there laying. I'm like, all right, cool. And still breathing a little bit, so I'm gonna go, take my knife and finish him off, get him out of his misery, like you're supposed to. And I go down there, and he done laid his gun up. I'm like, all right. I said, I'll help you. I'll slit his throat. I'll get him right. So we go down there, and I reach down, I grab his horns, and I took that knife in. When I jabbed that knife in, that deer sprung back to life in a mean fury. And I was like, I didn't bring my gun. Daniel's gun is unloaded. So I'm like, nope, gotta hold on. I reached my other hand around, grabbed the horns, and that deer was doing circles. He was trying to charge at me. I was going crazy. I'm like, get your gun, Daniel, get your gun, Daniel, get your gun, Daniel. I look over, and he's, oh, which tree? He's going around in circles, trying to find it. I don't know where I put it. Then he picks it up. He goes, crap, I ain't got no bullets. I said, he reached down into his pockets and grabbed a bullet, and I'm still fighting this deer the whole time. And I look over, and my dad is in the corner over at the tree, leaned up against the tree, laughing his butt off. He was laughing so hard it brought him to his knees. He couldn't help it. Daniel running around in circles looking for the daggone shotgun to try to finish this thing off. I'm holding on to the horns. Deer's got a knife sticking out of his throat. I'm holding on so the deer don't get away. And deer's charging. We're doing circles. Daniel sticks his gun up him. He's like, all right. I'm like, whoa. Hold on. I'm right here, dadgummit. So I'm like, I'm going to shuck him this way, give him a step or two, and when he goes away, shoot this son of a gun, So I'm like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and I chunk him over to the right, down, gives him 2 steps, and pow, puts another one inside, folds him up, he's done. Graveyard dead. Meanwhile, I look over, and Dad is still on the ground laughing. I was like, I could have used daggone help. He said, I was trying. He's like, but I couldn't stop laughing. I couldn't stop laughing for nothing. And then, of course, we got to giggling and laughing about it. And that was, oh, God, that was hilarious. That was such a fun time. One of the ones that... It don't happen every time, but man, you never forget that one. We're going to take a quick second and pause this episode and talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our hounds, they're athletes, guys. They give us their all each and every time that they're casted. Elite Nutrition offers an all-natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits they deserve. From the canine remove and all-natural wormer to the Electro Boost paste for an electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement. They also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, and then the Canine Lactate Powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products for y'all to check out at CajunLights.com, then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you go check out, only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HTELITE, the number 10, to receive 10% off Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products over the past couple months, and I could not be happier with the results. See for yourself today, and we want to thank Elite Nutrition for taking a step forward into this field trial sport. Now, let's get back to the episode, guys. So another one, I don't know how a lot of clubs do. I know a lot of clubs will. They'll cook breakfast in the mornings. That's what our thing was, man, for the longest time, and it's fallen to the wayside. I've tried my dangest to make that work and keep that alive, but I don't know. Nobody's got the heart behind it no more. But anyway, it's for another time. Anyway, growing up, it was, man, the hunting cabin was loaded down. It was 10, 15, 20 people over there. They're over there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're telling stories. We're getting hyped up. We're like, man, I've seen this buck over here. He's coming out of bed this time. Yeah, this is a morning buck over here. We ought to go over here first. And how many dogs do you got? We're gonna do a big buck contest. What are we gonna do, guys? Let's have some fun. Everybody enjoyed it. It was good cooking. The older guys would cook. And, this went on for years. I mean, probably decade and a half, 2 decades of that kind of stuff. And as I got older, it slowly started to fade off. And these older generation, this is where it got the funniest to me. My papa and a couple of other ones was, they were getting into their 70s. And they're like, oh, yeah, you young bucks going to have to step up and come out here and start cooking. I'm like, all right, cool, yeah. I love cooking some breakfast in the morning. Let's do it. This was after I got back from college. I'm like, all right, and I was like, bet, let's do it. So I'm like, all right, next weekend I'm gonna cook. All right, I'm gonna hold you to it. I was like, if I gotta go grocery store or whatever, I'll get it. He's not. We'll get it. We'll get the grocery store. You just come on over here and cook. I said, all right. What time do y'all normally get here? We get here at 4:30. All right, I'll be here at 4:30. Well, the next weekend I show up at 4:30. Breakfast is cooked. It's on plates. It's on the ready. And the grill is clean. I take that back. The grill wasn't clean. He was just getting ready to start the eggs. He had cracked all the eggs and got them ready and had the grill on low. So that when it was time to bring the eggs on, it was a quick, they were still warm for everybody when they got there. I said, Papa, you said I was going to cook this week. He said, couldn't help it, boy. He said, I couldn't help it. He just kind of gave me that sideways grin. He said, I couldn't help it. I ain't ready to give it up yet. And I was like, well, I don't want to hear you griping about it no more then. I always thought it was funny. That older generation, man, they were something else. They would complain and gripe and, oh, you got to do this. Y'all guys got to step up. Then you go to step and, well, y'all just sit back and watch. We'll show you how we do it. We'll show you how we do it. That aggravated me back then a lot, but looking back now, I'm sure glad I went and stood back and watched. The rest of that year, I would show up. I said, Papa, I was like, if you want to keep on cooking, I'll show up and I'll be there with you and I'll hang out with you, but you keep on cooking as long as you want to. He's like, all right. We found an understanding that day. And I would show up about 4:30 every Saturday, and me and him would cook. Well, he would cook and I would watch. And then we would I enjoyed it. It was just time with him, talking dogs, talking hunting, and it was a lot of fun. So another thing that my papa taught me, talking about him, was he really helped me understand patience. When I first got to driving and doing it myself, my dad was always a very run and gun. He would sit still for a little bit and did a good job sitting still, but he would also, if you needed to get somewhere, you got there. You made it happen, you got in front of him. We killed a lot of deer that way. But my papa, when I got to hunting with him a little bit more towards the end of his hunting career, he taught me sitting still, being patient, let it come back to you is a great way to hunt too. And we enjoyed a lot of times of, oh, yep, they're going that way. And I'd jump back in the truck ready to go, and he'd still be sitting there listening, just enjoying the hounds. And he's really the one, in my opinion, that taught me to enjoy the sound of the hound. Don't necessarily enjoy just the thrill of the hunt, but enjoy the sound of the hound as well. You know, of course, I always loved listening to a good chase, but he's the one that really kind of truly broke it down and taught me they're going their other way. Don't worry about that. Just listen and enjoy. And really taught me, and this kind of leads me into something else, you know, taught me how to use my ears. And that's something that so that's something that to me is such a lost thing now. You know, we have GPS, and that's great. They're a lifesaver. They're a game changer. They've really, honestly, probably saved the sport. But they're used as a crutch so much. And man, I grew up in the times of the old school. Listen and tell where they're going. I can tell you, I learned from my dad and my grandpa on how to listen to the dogs. And no, they're not coming towards you. They're pulling a hill on the other side of that bottom. I can listen to dogs when they drop off in a bottom, and I can tell which way they're going. I know I learned by those guys that could listen to dogs that were a mile and a half away and could pinpoint exactly where they were. And how we knew that's exactly where they were is because they would say to me, man, it sounds like they're up there around the right-hand road in the pushed-up stuff. Ought to be right around the entrance. Dogs get ready to cross on the right-hand road at the entrance. You'd hear on the radio about 10 seconds after that. I mean, it was so amazing to learn from them that art of listening to dogs and telling where they were, how they were going, how they were running the land. That's something that I will pass on 110% to my son, and if I'm lucky enough to have any more kids that want to do it. The Hounds Tales Podcast is happy to announce our newest partnership with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound to go on. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. And very soon we will be offering Hounds Tale Podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. So be on the lookout for that coming up here soon. Thank you, Low 10 Outfitters, for teaming up with the Hounds Tales Podcast. And don't forget, guys, low10outfitters.com to get your apparel for your kennels. Now, let's get you back to your episode. And one more last story. Not really a story, but just a memory that I still enjoy doing. And I need to actually just break it down with him again this year coming up, and me and him just go walk again like we used to. But we would just take, and we cast. I grew up with them. They were not the drop the tailgate, let them go hunters. We hike them into the woods. We give our hike commands a hike, whoop, yeah, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, making the noises. We have our own commands, and that's what they follow. That's what they pull to, and that was how I learned to watch a dog. That's how I learned to see, all right, that dog picks it up where that dog slacks. This dog has got a good nose, but this dog carries it. But when this track gets a little bit hotter, that dog that ain't got quite such a good nose picks it up and carries it on and controls the chase. And it's just, you really learn to read a dog doing that. And that's something my dad taught me, was get in there, take your gun with you. You know, you never know. But take your gun in there and walk with your dogs. Be on the ready for the deer. If they come back around to you, they might. But you're teaching the dogs, you're learning the dogs. It's going both ways right now. And when you're doing that, and it's just, I'll never forget those walks in the woods, and just, it's not necessarily even the times where he was like, all right, son, this is this dog doing this is what you're doing, this is what we're doing here, blah, blah, blah. you go out there, you experience it, and you pay attention, and you learn it that way. And at the time, I didn't realize that that's what was happening, but he taught me so much just taking me with him and making me, not necessarily making me walk. I wanted to go. I mean, there was plenty of times where I was like, man, I don't want to walk. And he's like, all right, well, I'll be back in a little while. And he'd leave me, and I'd listen to the radio and enjoy the radio. And if the dead deer come back, I'd be ready about the closer towards the truckway. Then I got older, and I was like, no, I want to walk. I'm going. So, man, it's things like that that we have to give credit to those father figures, to our dads, to our grandpas, that showed us the way in the sport. And cannot thank them enough. Cannot thank them enough. So to everybody out there, to my dad, my grandpa, and all the other dads out there and father figures, happy Father's Day. And y'all just, we cannot thank y'all enough for passing it down to us. So that's going to wrap it up for the rest, the normal part of this episode. We're going to go straight into, real quick, the Spotlight presented by Cajun Lights real quick. It's now time for the Spotlight presented by Cajun Lights. This is where each week we will recognize winners and other accomplishments across the field trial world. Now let's shine a lights on these guys and these dogs, and let's get to this week's winners. And I never could find a picture of the Triple Crown results. It's kind of disappointing. I know it was supposed to be a really, really good hunt, and I've heard a lot of people talk about how great it was, and big shout out to Colby Taylor. I know Colby Taylor made another champion down there, so congratulations to him. I believe it was his Bumblebee dog. So congratulations to him on making a champion at that first ever Triple Crown. And maybe next year I'll come down there and see if I can't hang with you guys. The only other hunt that I got results for was the Mid-Atlantic 2-day down at Pools. Let's start with the best mouth. And that dog was B&B's White Pearl. The dog's out of B&B's Hank. And Dam of the Year, B&B's Little Slipper from B&B Kennels. Let's see. The combination winner was, let me get in here on this, Humphrey Shiloh. That dog's out of Champion Borum's Big Stick. And Humphreys Casey from Bird Mill Kennels. Then the classiest hound, first in hunting, first in speed and drive, and first in endurance, is Silver Bullet's Dorothy. And that dog's out of Silver Bullet's Big Stick and Champion Atkins Runt from Silver Bullet Kennels. So congratulations to everybody down there. It looked like a great hunt. I hate I missed that one, but it did look like a good hunt. And that's all I got for this week, guys. I got some great guests being suggested. I'm working on trying to get something lined up with them, and hopefully by next week we'll have a good recording for y'all and we'll get something lined up. But all right, I thank y'all so much again for everything and all the support, and that's all I got for you. So we will catch y'all next week, guys. Again, thank y'all, love y'all, and we will catch y'all next time. And like always, guys, happy hunting.